Liam Carter adjusted the cardboard box on his head, the rough edges scratching his neck as he walked through the school gates. The hand-drawn Minecraft creeper face on the front wobbled with each step, its pixelated grin mocking the world before anyone else could. Whispers followed him. Freak. What's wrong with his face? But he kept his hands stuffed in his hoodie pockets, shoulders hunched. The mask was his armor, even if it drew more attention than it deflected. Jake and Derek leaned against the lockers, their laughter sharp as glass. Nice mask, loser. Jake sneered, flicking the box. You hiding a third eye under there? Or just ugly? Liam flinched but stayed silent. A teacher shushed them, but even she eyed the mask with suspicion. Liam, school isn't a costume party, she said, like he hadn't heard it 100 times before. At home, Liam locked his bedroom door and yanked off the box, tossing it onto his bed. His face was flushed, sweat sticking his dark hair to his forehead. He opened his laptop and clicked on his editing software, the familiar BlockheadGamer logo flashing on the screen. His latest video, a Minecraft parkour tutorial, was halfway done. He recorded his hands, his voice, muffled through the mask, but never his face. 200 subscribers. Tiny but his. The next day, Mia Torres rushed past Jake in the hallway, her notebook slipping from her grip. Papers scattered, pages filled with tight, inked handwriting. The nether's shadows twisted as Hero Brine raised his sword. Jake snatched it up before she could react. Oh my god, he crowed. Mia writes Minecraft fanfic. Derek howled as Jake read aloud in a falsetto. His pixelated eyes burned with rage. Mia's face crumpled. Liam's hands clenched. Give it back, he muttered. Jake shoved him. Or what, box boy? Liam lunged. The scuffle lasted 3 seconds before a teacher pulled them apart. Mia's papers were trampled. Jake smirked. And Liam's mask, crumpled at the edges now, felt heavier than ever. The principal's office smelled like stale coffee and cheap air freshener. Liam kept his mask on, even though it made the sweat pool under his chin. Mia sat beside him, twisting her fingers in her lap. Principal Vance steepled his hands on the desk, his tie too tight around his neck. Fighting in the halls, he said, like he was savoring the words. Disruptive behavior. You two understand why that's a problem, don't you? Liam nodded automatically, but Mia's voice was quiet and steady. They started it. They were. Vance cut her off with a wave. Doesn't matter who started it. What matters is who got caught. He leaned forward, his chair creaking. And what matters even more is the kind of environment we're fostering here. Distractions. That's the real issue. Liam's stomach dropped. He knew where this was going. The next morning, the intercom crackled to life during homeroom. Vance's voice boomed through the speakers, announcing a new policy. Effective immediately, all hoodies, hats, and yes, masks are prohibited during school hours. This includes discussions of video games or other non-academic topics in class or hallways. A collective groan rippled through the room. Liam's fingers twitched toward the edges of his box mask. Across the aisle, Jake smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. Jake's house smelled like lemon cleaning spray and old takeout. His dad, Coach Harris, stood in the doorway of his bedroom, arms crossed. Gaming club, he barked, crumpling the permission slip in his fist. You're wasting time on that junk when you could be at practice. Jake scowled at his shoes. It's just one afternoon a week. No, his dad interrupted. You want to throw away your future for some pixels on a screen? That's how losers end up. Jake's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Later, in the dark of his room, he scrolled through Liam's YouTube channel, watching the shaky footage of Minecraft builds. The comments were full of praise. This is so cool. How'd you even think of this? Jake clenched his phone. Why was it so easy for Box Boy to not care what people thought? Mia found Liam at lunch, sitting alone under the bleachers. She slid next to him, her knees pulled to her chest. I know who you are, she said softly. Liam froze. BlockheadGamer, she continued, and his breath hitched. I won't tell, she added quickly. I wanted to say your builds are amazing. Liam's shoulders relaxed slightly. You watch my stuff. Mia nodded, pulling out her own notebook. Not the one Jake had torn pages from, but a new one. Sketches of game characters filled the margins. I write stories about them too, she admitted. Stupid, right? Liam shook his head. No, it's not. For the first time in weeks, he lifted the edge of his mask just enough to take a bite of his sandwich. Mia smiled, and for a second, it didn't feel so dangerous to be seen. The fluorescent lights of Principal Vance's office buzzed like angry wasps as Liam sat rigid in the hard plastic chair, his Minecraft box mask clutched in his lap for the first time all semester. Vance leaned across his desk, his breath smelling of stale mints and coffee, sliding a typed speech toward Liam with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "This is your opportunity to make things right," Vance said, tapping the paper where bold letters spelled out apology to the student body. "You'll read this at tomorrow's assembly. It explains how video games caused your behavioral issues." Liam's stomach twisted as he scanned the words, lies about aggression, and poor grades blamed squarely on gaming. His mother sat beside him, her hand warm on his arm, but when she spoke her voice was steel. "This is outrageous. You're scapegoating my son to cover for your failure to address real bullying in this school." Vance's smile tightened. "Mrs. Carter, let's be reasonable. If Liam cooperates, we can avoid suspension. Otherwise," the threat hung in the air as they walked to the parking lot, autumn leaves crunching underfoot. "Maybe I should just transfer," Liam muttered, kicking a pebble. His mother turned him to face her, her calloused hands framing his face. "Listen to me. You can change schools, but running won't fix shame. That mask comes off when you decide you've got nothing to be ashamed of, not a minute before." The Harris household echoed with the sound of tearing paper as Jake's father ripped down the last of the gaming posters, the corners still clinging stubbornly to the blue-tacked walls. "This nonsense ends today," Coach Harris bellowed, wadding up a limited edition Legend of Zelda print that had taken Jake 3 months to save for. Something hot and sharp uncoiled in Jake's chest as his father turned to the bookshelf, grabbing the amiibo figures Jake had collected since middle school. Without thinking, Jake's fist connected with his locker door, the metallic bang making his father whirl around. "You got something to say, boy?" Jake's knuckles throbbed as he stared at the dent in the locker, suddenly understanding why Liam wore that stupid box. It wasn't about hiding, it was about having something the world couldn't take away. "Nothing," Jake muttered, brushing past his father. "I've got nothing to say to you." He slammed his bedroom door and pulled out his phone, staring at the BlockheadGamer channel he'd secretly subscribed to weeks ago. The library was nearly empty when Mia pushed her notebook across the table to Liam, her fingers trembling slightly. "I was going to delete them all," she confessed, watching as Liam turned the pages filled with her neat handwriting and intricate sketches of nether fortresses and character backstories. "After Jake, after what happened, I thought maybe they were right. That it was childish." Outside the window, the football team practiced on the field, their shouts drifting through the glass. Liam traced the edge of a particularly detailed drawing of an Enderman, noticing how Mia had captured its haunting posture perfectly. "Why didn't you?" he asked. Mia took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders like she was preparing for battle. "Because I realized I'd rather be childish than cruel," she said, meeting Liam's eyes for the first time that afternoon. "And because stories matter, even if they're about pixelated monsters." A slow smile spread across Liam's face as he carefully closed the notebook and handed it back. "You're braver than I am," he admitted, glancing at the cardboard mask sitting on the table between them. Mia shook her head. "No, I think you're exactly as brave as you need to be. You just haven't realized it yet." The autumn wind carried the scent of burning leaves as Liam sat on his bed that night, the apology speech crumpled in his fist. On his laptop screen, his YouTube channel glowed, 217 subscribers, most of them from this very school. He clicked the upload button on a video he'd recorded earlier, hands only, showing how to build a hidden base under a waterfall. The cursor hovered over the delete button as he thought about Vance's ultimatum. With one click, he could erase BlockheadGamer forever. Somewhere across town, Jake Harris stared at his own screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard to type a comment he'd never have the courage to send. And in a small bedroom filled with notebooks, Mia Torres carefully recopied the story she'd almost thrown away, her pen moving steadily across the page. 3 teenagers, all hiding in different ways, all on the verge of making a choice that would crack their world open. The school auditorium hummed with restless energy as students filed in for Principal Vance's mandatory assembly, the squeak of sneakers and muffled laughter bouncing off the cinderblock walls. Liam sat stiffly on stage, his fingers tracing the rough edges of his cardboard mask in his lap, the typed apology speech crumpled and damp with sweat in his other hand. From the crowd, Mia caught his eye and gave a small, encouraging nod, while Jake slouched in the back row, his usual smirk replaced by an unreadable tension. Principal Vance adjusted his tie at the podium, his voice booming through the crackling speakers. "Today we address the disruptive influences plaguing our school," he began, shooting a pointed look at Liam. "First, one of your peers will share how gaming negatively impacted his behavior." The room fell silent as Liam approached the microphone, his pulse roaring in his ears. For a long moment, he stared at the speech Vance had forced on him, then deliberately let the paper flutter to the floor. The cardboard mask lifted away from his face for the first time, revealing a pale, determined face the school had never seen. "My name is Liam Carter," he said, his voice shaking but clear, "and I'm BlockheadGamer." A ripple of recognition went through the crowd as he continued. "I hid because I was scared you'd think I was weird. But weird isn't the problem, cruelty is." The silence shattered as Mia suddenly stood from her seat, her notebook clutched in both hands. Without asking permission, she marched to the stage beside Liam, her voice surprisingly steady as she read aloud her Minecraft fanfiction to the entire student body, her words painting vivid pictures of nether adventures and unlikely friendships. In the back row, Jake's father elbowed him with a muttered, "This what you want to be associated with?" Something inside Jake snapped. "Yeah, actually," he said loudly, standing up. "I play too. And you know what? It's not half as pathetic as pretending to be someone you're not just to please people like you." The auditorium erupted in gasps as Coach Harris turned purple with rage, but before he could respond, math teacher Mr. Wilkins was at the microphone, holding up a folder of receipts. "While we're exposing truths," he announced, "these are Principal Vance's conference expenses, Las Vegas buffets, Miami beach resorts." The room descended into chaos as students cheered, and teachers scrambled to contain the damage. 2 weeks later, the changes at school were visible everywhere. Hoodies and hats back in hallways, the newly formed gaming club meeting in what used to be Vance's office. Liam sat at his bedroom desk, adjusting his webcam before hitting record on his first face reveal video as BlockheadGamer. "So, this is me," he said with an awkward wave, the empty cardboard mask now displayed on his shelf like a trophy. Down the street, Jake sat at his own computer, hesitating before typing his first comment on Liam's channel. "Build tutorial was sick. Got room in the club for one more." Meanwhile, Mia's notebook lay open on the library table as a small crowd of students peered over her shoulder, asking questions about her characters and where she got her ideas. The final bell rang on Friday afternoon, sunlight streaming through the windows of the gaming club room where Liam, Mia, and a surprising number of classmates, including Jake, crowded around a glowing screen. Laughter filled the air as someone's character fell into lava, their exaggerated screams drawing more students to peek in the doorway. Back in homeroom, Liam's empty cardboard mask sat on Mrs. Alvarez's desk, brought in for an art project about personal growth. "Sometimes," she told her class, "the things we use to hide become the things that remind us how far we've come." Outside, the autumn leaves swirled in the courtyard, catching the light like so many pixels in the wind.